One single sentence that you let slide today will turn into your total collapse a year from now. Think back to that sudden pause in a conversation that made you feel physically uncomfortable. That was not an accident. That was an ancient instinct screaming about a danger that politeness is trying to hide. This is not a friendly joke. It is the first signal of aggression that will soon turn into a knife in your back. Everyone believes in the fairy tale of big actions, but reality is much harsher. Small things are the only place where a manipulator cannot control their mask. Today, I will name 3 actions that reveal a future traitor. By the end of this video, you will have a scanner strategy that will turn you from a convenient victim into a master of human strategy. Write the phrase, "I see through it," in the comments. Let us begin. Your biggest loss in life did not start with a grand betrayal. It started the moment you decided that the devil wears horns and hooves. You spent years looking for biblical scale villainy in your circle. You waited for an open attack or a direct theft of your assets. This is a fatal systemic error in your perception. In the real world of dark psychology and the brutal struggle for resources, betrayal rarely looks like a sword to the chest. Most often, it is a slow poisoning with microscopic doses of venom that you swallow every day by your own free will. Niccolo Machiavelli formulated a law 500 years ago that defines your security today. He wrote that men remember small injuries much longer and more painfully than major defeats. People can forgive you for an open victory in a fair fight, but they will never forgive you for noticing their baseness or ignoring their ego. Your personal security depends directly on your ability to see micro-cracks in someone's loyalty before the entire building of your relationship collapses on your head. Most people look at the world through a telescope, searching for distant storms, while they trip and break their necks on the stones lying right under their feet. Right today, conduct an inventory of your inner circle through the lens of micro-actions. Take a piece of paper and write down the names of 5 people you talk to most often. Recall the last 3 times each of them was late for a meeting with you by more than 10 minutes without a good reason, or when they cut you off mid-sentence just to talk about themselves. The mechanics are simple. If a person systematically allows these small acts of disrespect toward your time and your word, they have already committed an internal betrayal. Their brain has marked you as a safe and secondary resource that can be used without regard for loss. Your task for the week is to stop excusing these small things as tiredness or personality traits. Start recording every such moment in your journal of quiet power. As soon as the number of microcracks for one person exceeds 3, shut off their access to the red zone of your plans. You will be surprised how quickly this audit exposes those who have been freeloading on your blindness for years. Never trust a person who allows themselves to make biting jokes at your expense in front of witnesses and then tells you that you are being too sensitive. On the outside, it looks like ordinary humor or friendly teasing, but in dark psychology, this is called testing the boundaries and social castration. And suddenly your colleague or an old buddy chimes in for everyone to hear. "Oh my God, guys, look at the next Elon Musk here. I hope your rockets do not explode as fast as your previous startup." Or when you talk about your new diet, he loudly remarks, "Here we go again. Well, good luck this time, because we all remember how your gym trip ended last year." The room erupts in laughter while you are dealt a deep status wound right in front of people whose opinion you value. If you try to defend yourself, he will immediately flip the gaslighting switch. Hey, relax, man. I'm just joking. Why are you so serious? This is the mechanic of social castration. A manipulator, like a predator, inflicts a light wound to see your reaction. If you laugh along with everyone else, you officially accept your defeat and voluntarily give up your status. You inform the group that you can be used for the pack's amusement without consequence. From this moment, your value in the eyes of others begins to plummet. The psychological damage here is much deeper than just a ruined mood. It is the methodical destruction of your leadership potential. The next time this person drops a sharp comment toward you, apply the 5-second protocol. Stop talking mid-sentence. Completely remove any emotion from your face. Look the offender directly and calmly in the bridge of the nose for exactly 5 seconds. Do not make extra movements and do not try to joke back. At this moment, the social glue that held the joke together evaporates. A vacuum of tension is created in the room that must be filled by the one who created it. The mechanics of this action are devastating to the manipulator's ego. He expected your awkwardness or return aggression. Instead, he faces a cold silence that makes him feel stupid and out of place. He will start to fidget or try to excuse himself with the typical American phrase, "Don't take it so personally." At this moment, in a quiet and steady voice, ask one question. What exactly about that was supposed to be funny? Force him to explain the mechanics of his own baseness. As soon as a manipulator begins to explain his joke, it finally dies, and with it, his power over you in that circle dies too. You have seized the initiative without a single shout and shown everyone that the price of attacking you has become too high. Have you ever noticed how your supposedly loyal ally suddenly starts showering compliments on a person who openly wishes you harm? On the outside, it is always presented under the sauce of objectivity or being a peacemaker. They tell you that you need to be above the conflict or that your enemy is not actually that bad. But in reality, you're looking at a classic social cuckoo. Here is a specific example. Imagine a situation in a big corporate office or in your local community. You have an open conflict with a manager from another department who is trying to undermine you or take your budget. And then your friend says over lunch, "Look, I chatted with that guy for a few minutes at Starbucks yesterday. You know, he's actually a great leader. He's just having a heavy period right now. You should try to meet him halfway." In American culture, this is often called playing devil's advocate. But know this, if your ally starts justifying the one who is cutting the branch you are sitting on, he is already preparing a spot for himself on the next tree. He uses his proximity to you as an entry ticket to your enemy camp. This is not peacemaking, it is reconnaissance. Tomorrow, he will tell your competitor that you are reacting too emotionally or that you have teamwork issues. He sells your reputation in pieces so that he looks reasonable and objective in the eyes of the winner. Machiavelli, in his treatise on the state, advised immediately getting rid of those who seek the favor of your opponents. The mechanics of this process are purely cynical. The person is terrified of losing along with you, so he pledges loyalty to the new power in advance. This is the strategic insurance of a traitor. The threat is that through such a middleman, all your most intimate weak spots become the property of your direct competitors. Your sincerity before such a friend is a voluntary handover of the keys to your citadel into the hands of those who dream of your fall. Remember that loyalty is never halfway. Either a person stands in your line or they are already preparing the ground to step on your back during their climb to the next step of their career. To expose the true intentions of this double agent, apply the method of hard provocation. In a private conversation with this person, drop one extremely sharp and unambiguous judgment about your common enemy. Call his action absolutely dishonorable, or point out his fatal incompetence. Watch the reaction of the person in the first 2 seconds. If he starts defending the opponent or using phrases like, "It is not that simple," or "I think you are being too harsh," know that his loyalty no longer belongs to you. The mechanics of this test are ruthless. A true ally always takes the side of their leader in a moment of external attack. If a person tries to smooth over the edges, it means they are already in active negotiations to sell your authority. Your task for the week is to put this player into a mode of information isolation after this test. Do not conflict, but completely stop sharing any real details of your plans with them. Make them a stranger in your territory. Watch how they start to get nervous when they run out of fresh stock in the form of your secrets to trade on the side. You have kept your position and identified the information leak in your rear in time. Never trust a person who tells you other people's secrets just to entertain you or to bond with you. On the outside, it looks like the highest level of trust and an invitation to an exclusive club. But clinical analysis shows the opposite. You are looking at an information cannibal who devours someone else's reputation to feed his own tiny ego. Here is a specific example. Imagine a situation at a regular Saturday barbecue or during a Sunday brunch with friends. Your acquaintance conspiratorially lowers his voice and says, "Look, this is just between us. Our common friend Mark is in huge debt right now. The bank is about to take his house, and his wife has already filed for divorce. But you understand, I am only telling you this because we trust each other." At this moment, your brain gets cheap dopamine from possessing an exclusive. Stop. This person has just committed an act of information cannibalism. He ate Mark's life and reputation to buy 5 minutes of your attention. He uses confidential information as a bargaining chip to buy temporary favor. The mechanics of betrayal here are hardwired at the level of neural connections. A person who is incapable of holding valuable information inside has a loose personality structure. For them, the immediate high from your surprise is more important than years of loyalty to an ally. If he sold you Mark's tragedy today, he will, without hesitation, put your secret up for auction tomorrow, as soon as he needs to get in good with your enemy. In dark psychology, this is called a deficit of internal integrity. The threat is that your life and your assets in the hands of such a person turn into a market commodity with an expiration date. To finally test a big mouth for professional suitability, use the empty container method. Feed the suspect one specific and supposedly very important piece of news about yourself that is actually a total fabrication. This detail should be vivid but harmless to you if it becomes public. For example, say that you are secretly planning to buy a house in a specific remote state, or that you are starting to invest money in a very specific startup. The mechanics of the check are merciless. If, in a week, you hear this detail from third parties or notice strange hints from neighbors, the trap has snapped shut. You have received irrefutable proof that you are dealing with a person who has information incontinence. Your action is to immediately put them on the red zone silence list. From now on, they should only hear noise from you about the weather and well-known facts. Your secret is your main capital in the game for power. Never give it to those who scatter it like trash under the feet of passers-by. Most people notice these bells, but force themselves to stay silent because of the fear of loneliness or social pressure. You make a fatal mistake by taking your intuition for paranoia and someone else's nerve for an accident. In fact, your brain is a perfect biological radar.
Here is a specific example. You are visiting neighbors, and you notice how the man of the house flashes his wife a quick look full of cold contempt while she is telling a funny story, or how your old friend suddenly goes quiet when you enter the room, and his smile appears on his face with a 1-second delay. That delay is the work of his conscious mind, pulling a mask of friendliness over his true face. At that moment, your limbic system has already recorded a mismatch. It read a micro-expression that lasted a fraction of a second, or caught a fake tone that cannot be faked.
But at this moment, your social conditioning kicks in, commanding you to be polite and convenient. You do not want to complicate the situation or ruin the evening with stupid suspicions. Dark psychology explains that politeness in response to hidden aggression is a form of voluntary psychological submission. You were taught from childhood not to jump to conclusions and to give people a second chance. But in the world of hard strategy and survival, a quick conclusion is not a sin, but a mechanism for saving your life and your assets. When you ignore small disrespect, you suppress your survival instinct, just so you do not seem rude in the eyes of the person who has already started to betray you. This is a classic conflict between your biological truth and the imposed social mask. Stoicism calls on us to trust only facts and not our hopes that a person will get better. The fact of small disrespect today is a 100% guarantee of major betrayal tomorrow, as soon as the stakes rise. Clinical analysis shows that victims of manipulators always saw the signals in advance, but they chose to believe in the illusion rather than reality. Your growth as a person requires the full and final death of these illusions. You must realize that people will not change just because you are kind to them. On the contrary, your kindness in response to their bitterness only confirms their right to continue the attack. Right today, start training your internal radar through the method of recording first impressions. In every new or current conversation, catch that very first second when you felt uncomfortable. Do not try to find a logical explanation for this feeling immediately. Just tell yourself, I have recorded this. Your task for the week: every time you feel the urge to justify someone else's rudeness with the phrase, "He's just tired," immediately change it to the formula, "He is testing my boundaries." See how your perception of reality changes when you stop being a lawyer for your enemies. You will feel a surge of cold confidence because you are no longer wasting energy on maintaining false relationships. Your right to suspicion is your right to survival in a world where predators wear suits and smile at your face. Right today, I am giving you a final offensive set of exercises that will make you absolutely invulnerable to hidden manipulators. We are moving from passive observation to active testing of your information environment. Remember that information is the blood of your power. You have no right to spill it before those who crave your social or financial death. You must become a master of managed chaos on your own territory and learn to set traps where others see an ordinary friendly conversation. The first step to security is the implementation of an information diet protocol. Stop giving any significant information to a person who has been noticed spreading gossip at least once. From this moment on, feed them only empty information noise, weather, well-known news, or boring details of daily life. Watch how quickly this social parasite loses interest in you when he realizes you are no longer a source of valuable resource for his trades on the side. This is an automatic filter that weeds out those who only need you as a supplier of other people's secrets. The second exercise is the high art of dark psychology. This is your personal lie detector in real time.
Tell a potential traitor one supposedly secret and slightly unpleasant detail about yourself that is actually an absolute fabrication. This detail must be vivid enough to make them want to retell it to others, but at the same time, it should not cause you real damage if it becomes public. For example, say that you are secretly planning to buy a house in a certain village, or are starting to engage in a very specific and strange hobby. The mechanics of the check are merciless and precise. If in a week you hear this fabrication from third parties, or notice that one of your common acquaintances has started hinting at this fact, congratulations. The trap has snapped shut, and you have received irrefutable proof of the rotten nature of this person. You have identified a spy in your rear without risking anything real. Now you know exactly whose loyalty is a fake. Do not spill your real blood before those who scatter your secrets like trash. Now the most dangerous and important part. Look at your own behavior, not through the lens of morality, but through the hard lens of efficiency. If you use these 3 small things yourself, biting jokes, flattery toward enemies, or trading other people's secrets, you voluntarily put a target on yourself. In the world of high strategy, these are signs of a weak player trying to survive through small and cheap maneuvering. Machiavelli warned that a ruler who relies on cunning instead of strength always ends up being betrayed by his own mercenaries. Your habit of gossiping or ribbing friends is a huge hole in your armor through which your real power escapes. This makes you predictable and cheap. A true master never descends to the level of small noise because his silence scares enemies much more than even the sharpest sting. If you recognized yourself in these points, it is not a reason for sadness, it is a signal for an immediate cleanup of your arsenal. You cannot demand loyalty from others if you trade the faithfulness of your allies for 5 minutes of attention. Your looseness makes you easy prey for those who know how to wait. Your task for the next 7 days is to implement an absolute monolith protocol. You must completely exclude 2 actions from your diet. First, any discussion of a person who is not present in the room, even if it is praise. Second, any attempt to assert yourself through biting comments or ribbing those around you. The mechanics of this exercise lie in the accumulation of internal pressure. Every time you want to drop a joke or pass on gossip, just swallow that word. Feel how this unspoken information turns into your internal strength. After a week, you will notice a shocking effect. Those around you will start to treat you with caution and deep respect.
Your sudden seriousness and hermeticism will create an aura of strength around you that is impossible to ignore. Become a person about whom it is impossible to say anything except that he is absolutely reliable and deadly dangerous in his silence. We created this community for those who are ready to see the world without rose-colored glasses and build their lives on the foundation of hard truth. If you want access to lie detection protocols and counter-manipulation techniques used by master negotiators and world-class strategists, click the button to join our inner circle. There we share tools that block any attempts at social dumping in their very infancy. Places are extremely few because most people prefer to remain convenient victims until the very end. Subscribe to the channel right now so as not to miss the next important lesson of survival in an aggressive environment. Write the phrase, "I see through it," in the comments if this episode confirmed your suspicions about someone in your circle. Your stories help other members of our circle not to make fatal mistakes. Be vigilant. Be free.